Deputies have not discussed an official motive, but this history may shine lights on why at this final custody exchange, Adkins may have left their daughter with family members and instead shot Jones multiple times. $10 million is 1/500th of President Trump's requested $5 billion. To put that into context, if this section of Capitol Wall cost $5 billion, 10 mil would pay for about that brick.
But a lot of the other depictions are far from TV friendly, much less kid friendly for anybody coming through this tunnel.
President Donald Trump announcing brand new travel restrictions tonight, adding several countries to those originally proposed by the administration. We are approaching the peak flood stage of the Ohio River here in Catlettsburg, Kentucky, and on the other side of this flood wall, the water's coming up to just about here. It's been causing headaches all day long and is going to continue doing so until it drops down. No one was supposed to be living inside of this home along 9th Avenue. The utilities were shut off, and when it went up, it spread to both sides.
The EPA detected chromium-6 in the amount of parts per billion. For example, here in Cabell County, 1/800 billionth of this glass of water could contain chromium-6. To put that into context, that's one drop of chromium-6 in 800 Olympic swimming pools.
Belfort, in conjunction with Kanawha County Schools, is taking each piece of equipment out of the schools and sanitizing it before placing it back inside, ready for student use. There are really at least 3 distinct conditions that you're going to meet if you decide to head out on the roadways, all of which can be found here at the West Virginia State Police Barracks outside of Huntington. City leaders say to show up early. Doors open at 4. The event starts at 7, and all of this will be shut down beginning at noon. Parking will be a bit of a headache, but all 3 surrounding parking garages will be open until 4 o'clock when people are let into the arena. There really is something empowering about this, and if you volunteer, you can come down and experience it too. The powerboat races aren't the only entertainment that you can have here at the 2015 Huntington Classic Regatta. They've also got a pretty nice carnival set up too. It works in stages. The first stage is detox, lasting 3 days to a week. Stage 2 involves lots of meetings and jobs to keep the addict busy. Stage 3 is a transitional phase where addicts take classes showing them evidence the program works. The next step is the longest, lasting 4 to 6 months. Here, addicts work a 12-step program and have community meetings where they hold each other accountable. The next to last stage puts the addict to work for 1 week in the detox center so that they can remember where they came from. To top it all off, addicts can live in a transitional house or become a peer mentor. The full-time Ironton Fire Department is in jeopardy, and during a passionate description of city finances,
hey, banners, bridge assessments, hey, Christmas lights and decorations. Get it?
Mayor Katrina Keith says all funds are projected to be in the red by 2024, even with 5 recent fee hikes passed by City Council.
The only option that we have going forward without bringing in new revenue is to lay off, and to lay off would mean I would have to lay off the fire department.
The cost of police and fire combined take up half the annual general revenue fund. Mayor Keith says that dropping the police department isn't much of an option because it would leave the sheriff's department covering both the county and all of the concerns inside of the city. During the public forum, citizens could vote, make the fire department volunteer, raise utility bills, vote for an outside millage, or raise income tax and eliminate the municipal fee.
It's going to be real hard.
Scott Eaches, like many, don't want to pay more in taxes or fees.
I'm sorry that it's that way, and I'm sorry that they're talking about losing fire department and all this. It's sad, but there's got to be some other way.
Local firefighter union president Zach Kriebel warns going volunteer could put people in danger. Right now, they run an average 3-minute response. Volunteer could stretch that well above 10 minutes.
In this day and age, with the structure of homes and how fast stuff burns, you'll lose a city block in no time.
Kriebel says if they're made volunteer, people in Ironton would pay more in homeowners insurance anyway. In Ironton, Sean Delancey, Eyewitness News. Yeah, Rick, mold is tricky. There are more than 100,000 different types of it, and if you try and clean it up, its natural defense is to spread as far and as fast as possible. The question is, even if you've scrubbed everything, could it still be living inside of your home? It's hard to believe that it's been nearly 2 years. Lives lost, homes destroyed, everything people owned thrown in heaps and carted off, and that was just the beginning.
Weeks, months, years of cleanup followed.
Right about there.
Dean Banks was one of thousands of victims, water covering his yard, flooding his basement, and staying there for days.
When the water dampness got in here, it just...
Volunteers stripped out his ceiling and walls, took out all of the furniture, appliances, and family mementos.
Mud's still in here.
We probably lost about $65,000, $70,000 worth of stuff.
For the next several weeks, Banks says volunteers cleaned, bleached, and sprayed chemicals on every surface to kill mold or prevent it from developing.
Every inch of this place was treated. More than once.
The question is, 2 years later, could mold have survived and be thriving once again in the crooks and crannies of Banks' home? To answer, we called in the professionals. Brett Hodgen runs Kanawha Valley Home Inspections, and he's here to find out what mold is here and where.
What I'm going to do right now is set up an air pump.
First, he takes a sample of the air outside, a baseline to compare against the air inside. Then he walks the perimeter to see where water could enter the home.
This is a good area where that they could do some regrading.
He says the biggest exposure risks are clogged gutters or grading issues, directing water towards the home's foundation. The baseline test is done, so it's time to head inside and do it all over again. As these little filters pull in and trap mold, the dirty work begins, searching for a sample big enough to swab.
Along in this corner.
It doesn't take long, Hodgen finding a sizable growth hiding right where he would expect, little hidden corners where airflow is low.
Right through here is a little bit of a black in color mold.
Black is not what you want to see because it could be Stachybotrys, a strain that can suppress your immune system, cause mental health issues, or damage your organs.
It's one that I'd like to, if I can, I would like to identify.
Now it's time to swab it, seal it, and find out what it is.
That's it. We'll send that off to a lab and they'll tell us what we've got.
The test results come back in a few work days with good news. The air inside has fewer spores than outside, showing the mold growth isn't serious, and the swab is not Stachybotrys. It's a more docile strain called Chatomium, only known to cause hay fever or asthma issues. Still, it's a good idea for Banks to remove the mold before it becomes an issue, and that's where Bob Rittenauer with Rainbow International Restoration comes in.
If you're doing it yourself, it's a difficult process.
Rittenauer says it's not as easy as wiping and bleaching visible mold. Doing that could actually make the problem worse.
Mold has a defense mechanism. Once something comes to try and kill it, it tries to take off and go away.
That's why he will put plastic around to contain escaping spores, set up a HEPA air scrubber to pull them out of the air, use a HEPA vacuum to remove the main growth, and wear protective respirators and suits to keep the spores out of his lungs and off his clothes.
If you go home and pick up your grandchild, they're going to breathe it right out of your shirt.
To keep it clean and mold-free, he uses a mix of dish soap and an antimicrobial, then hits it again with a pure antimicrobial to stop regrowth. He says a simple bleach mixture
Is that sufficient?
Well, not entirely, because especially in a flood, in some instances, the mold can go back on the bleach residue.
I would expect that this drywall should just be removed because once it's in the drywall, it's very difficult to clean.
Keeping mold away is a matter of regular maintenance, keeping 3 factors out of your home. It needs a water source, food source, and a relative humidity above 40%.
If it doesn't have any one of the 3, it won't grow.
Keeping everything dry and using dehumidifiers is extremely effective.
It ran all night. It just needs to be empty.
That way, unless West Virginia gets hit with another 1,000-year flood, you should be relatively mold-free, potentially saving you hundreds in testing and remediation.
Hodgen says mold is everywhere. You're likely breathing it right now, and that's not necessarily dangerous. The key is to keep levels low by removing the sources inside your home. Live in Clendenin, Sean Delancey, Eyewitness News. Jordan Reeves is a small-town musician from Wayne County, hoping to ride his unique music and voice to the big stage.
I've been getting way too rowdy and way too high.
Reeves will be auditioning for American Idol when it rolls through Charleston in September.
I've always had an interest. I always had an interest in music.
Reeves picked up his first guitar at 9, and with just a month of formal training, he's mastered the art. At 18, he moved to Myrtle Beach, touring gigs on the East Coast.
That's where I got my chops. Play, jam, you just get your name out, get your name out.
Reeves Reeves is obviously a lot more talented than I am, and he's getting a lot more support from people in the area.
I'll definitely root him on.
Andrew Klein is a longtime friend and drummer, joining hundreds on Facebook wishing Reeves the best as he reaches for his dreams.
I expect for him to give every ounce of effort that he has, and to truly leave it all there.
Reeves says he doesn't know if he can win, but that's not the point.
If I win, great. Let's hit it full force. If not, I'm still going to do it.
The point is the art, and knowing wherever he goes, Wayne County goes with him. In Lavalette, Sean Delancey, Eyewitness News.